Welcome to a special Kentucky Derby preview edition of that handicapping show. We are in the studio today to talk about some of the top points earners for the May 2nd event. Of course, the biggest race in horse racing. Pretty much everybody's looking forward to the Derby, and we're going to be on site at Churchill Downs in a couple weeks, next week, soon. We'll be there soon.
2 weeks.
Yeah. So anyway, we're going to talk about some of the top horses in here and just give some of our thoughts. And Tom, let's get things started with International Star. This is the Louisiana Derby winner. He's the top points getter on the leaderboard system that Churchill Downs started a couple years ago. And it's interesting to note that of the past 2 years that they've had the point system in place, Orb was the top point earner going into the Derby. He won. And California Chrome was the top point earner going into the Derby, and he won. So, as our esteemed online editor Ron Mitchell said, why even run the race? International Star will win. So what do you think about that?
Well, he is the points leader. He has a 1-point lead over Dortmund. And what's interesting about it is Dortmund will be or should be a much lower price than International Star, who ran the table at Fairgrounds with the Lecomte, Risen Star, and Louisiana Derby. And he was the favorite in the Louisiana Derby. And, you know, he has a nice come-from-behind style. His connections think that the 1.25 miles is no problem. He seems to have, he's not one-paced, but that is his running style. And I have a feeling that he may be well off the pace in this race and have a lot to do. That said, if you like the horse, I think the odds will be really good because there are several others in here that we'll talk about who figure to get most of the attention. And you may get a good price on a horse who's 3 for 3 this year in the preps for the Derby.
And International Star is by Fusaichi Pegasus, and of course he won the Derby, so that is one. Another horse by a Derby winner is Dortmund. He's by Big Brown. And Dortmund, like you mentioned, will have the much lower price. This is a horse who won the Santa Anita Derby and has just been so impressive in California this season for Bob Baffert. He is now 6 for 6, correct? Lifetime?
Yes, he is.
And the nice thing about him, as you've watched him mature, he's a big, ginormous horse. And
ginormous.
Yeah, completely so ginormous. I like to call him the Brontosaurus. That's my nickname for him.
Here we go.
But anyway, the thing about him that is good is that in his earlier races, you saw him have certain races where he was winning by like a head. He was just getting the job done and just barely. And in his past 2 races, he's actually increased that margin and gone on. He's not hanging on horses or horses aren't able to exactly get to him. But I think it's a good sign that his margins have not been so small. He seems to be on the improve, and nobody in California has really been able to hang with him his past couple of races.
That's correct, and you know he does have a win at Churchill Downs. He broke his maiden at Churchill last November, rather impressively, at the 1-turn mile, and his last race I thought was really impressive. He's not necessarily a front-end type horse, but he was able to just naturally get the lead in his last 2 races. What's interesting about the horse is this. You know, he usually wins by open lengths. The 2 races that he won by a head, Firing Line ran second to him in both of those races. He's further down the points ladder here, but he did win the Sunland Derby in a blowout. Of course, we don't really know how great that field was, but it's interesting that he's the horse who's come the closest to Dortmund twice. And unless he turns into some kind of a wise guy horse, which we've seen happen on Derby Day, that is a horse I think that you might want to watch at a price. Of course, he hasn't raced since late March, but he's been working well.
Yes, this is a gorgeous line of David Colt. He is so beautiful. I love him. And Gary Stevens will ride, which of course is a good sign, the Hall of Fame jockey getting them out there. He is 12th on the points list, as you mentioned, and one that I really do like coming into this race. So we've talked about International Star won the Louisiana Derby, Dortmund won the Santa Anita Derby, and Carpediem won the Bluegrass. This is another cog in the Todd Pletcher Kentucky Derby prep machine wheel. And what do you think about him? He's the Giants Causeway runner. It was an extremely expensive purchase that Windstar and Stone Street went in together, and he just won the Bluegrass very pretty much effortlessly, didn't really have to do much work.
I think I may be underestimating the horse.
I think I am too.
You know, I'm not enthralled with him.
Yeah.
I like a few of the others more, but there's really, you know, you really can't knock his efforts. Again, the Bluegrass, not so sure that it was a great field either. But, you know, he has a good running style, and he has come from off the pace when he's had to. And, you know, I don't think he'll be the favorite. And actually, he may not even be the third choice in this race because of the presence of American Pharaoh, who figures to take a lot of the money.
And American Pharaoh won the Arkansas Derby by 8 lengths, coming off of that Rebel Stakes victory. He's now won 4 races in a row, combined margin over 20 lengths. And really a nice performance from him in the Arkansas Derby, you know, second race off the layup, and just an extremely impressive colt. I love the way that he runs. He breaks from the gate and his ears are straight up, and he runs the entire way around with his ears just up, cruising along, hits the stretch and just draws away. He was very impressive, and he may be, what do you think, the favorite, the Derby favorite?
I think he will be. A lot of hype around this horse, and of course this kind of stuff happens. You know, you're reading tweets about comparing him to some of the greatest horses of all time.
Oh, let's
it's a little bit early for that. And you know, a lot can happen in this race with a 20 horse, or maybe not 20, but close to 20 or 20. You know, you just have to let it ride. Of course, there's another 2 weeks before the race. There's stuff can happen there. You got to see how the but yeah, I think he'll be the favorite.
All right. Well, one of my biggest things is getting a chance to see how the horses train over the track at Churchill Downs. It's a tricky type of surface. It's a little bit different than what they've been going on, and I really feel like before you pick your Derby horse, you need to see how they're training over the track, maybe watch their last work that they're going to get in. American Pharaoh will have 1 work at Churchill Downs leading into the race. So, you know, from here on out, we have Frosted, who won the Wood. We've got the UAE Derby winner coming in for Mike DeCock. We've got Materiality, who won the Florida Derby. El Kabir, who ran really well in the New York Series, and Upstart, who ran well in Florida, and just a bunch of second-tier horses who have kind of shifted themselves into that middle pack. So out of this kind of group in the middle, is there anybody in here you're interested in?
I think Frosted ran a really nice race last time. It was his second time with blinkers. He adjusted, ran a nice race from off the pace in the Wood at Aqueduct. But you know what? I think he'll probably grab a lot of action here too. El Kabir, of course, was 3rd in the Wood. The horse has always been bet except for one time when he won the Kentucky Jockey Club at Churchill. This is one of those horses that may slip through the cracks at a price on Derby.
I think he's a very, very tough horse, and the thing that I liked about him is he got too far behind. There wasn't enough pace for him to run yet, and the jock misjudged the situation. He was too far back, and he still closed very well to get up for 3rd. I do think this is a horse who could be running on Derby Day. Well, we will be at Churchill Downs. We'll keep you posted, bloodhorse.com. Of course, you can check out our respective Twitter feeds, BH_C Novak, BH_T LaMarra. And we are excited to get on the grounds, get a look at some of these horses, and keep you posted. So as always, thank you for watching that handicapping show.